Now we need to get you back to your seat, and in the interest of time, get back to the program. As you noticed in that video segment we showed earlier with Mr. Imelt from GE, he was talking about Brazil. And throughout these types of gatherings, we talk about different emerging destinations. It's tough to talk about emerging destinations without speaking of Brazil. And it's tough for us to speak about Brazil without speaking of Mr. Robert Janssen. How's that? I'll definitely get a dinner out of that.
10 seconds.
I think she said 10 seconds. The showbiz thing is tough. Okay, so we're about to kick off a panel, and if you've been to the Roadshow before, you know how panels work. It's all about interactivity, so it's just as important to rely on you all as our panelists up here. I want to pass the baton to you in a moment, Robert, so you're teeing things up. I have to kick things off, but in all seriousness, Robert is our go-to guy for Brazil. When people ask us questions about what's going on in Brazil, we ask Robert, and when I want to go to Brazil, I call Robert. And in both cases, he delivers. So I'm going to pass it to you, buddy.
Thank you, Frank. Good afternoon, everyone. I hope that everyone had a nice lunch. It still has left some blood for the brain. Anyways, what we thought we'd do here today is not just give you an overview of Brazil. I have two colleagues I'd like to introduce, like Lauren O'Leary from CI&T and Brian Moynihan from Ecor. Those are two Brazilian companies that are doing business in the U.S. as an American corporation for quite some time already. So they're very cued in bridging those cultural alignments in between Brazil and U.S., although there's a lot of similarity. What we'd like to do here today, though, before we go ahead, is talk about a little bit what we see as what we call smart sourcing. And although that term has been coined some time back, we see a bit of change in what it really means today. In 2000, I read a book called Mata Capitalism, wrote by Grady Means and David Schneider. They are change management VPs for Price Waterhouse. And at the core of that book, it said a very key thing that struck out to me was that in the future, organizations would be only queuing on two most important things going forward. One would be brand loyalty, brand equity. And two would be exactly the customer relationship. Because all of the rest, if you could outsource it in a proper way and still providing value, it would release energy so you could take care of the most important things, which is your brand awareness, your brand equity with the market that translates into value, and your customer relationship. Well, coming forward, in 2006, going to a NASCAR event in Mumbai, or should I say Bombaim, which by the way is a Portuguese word if you don't know. Bombaim means Bom Bahia, good bay. That's what the Portuguese said the first time when they set their eyes on the bay in Bombaim. But a CIO for CSC, and CIO was not Chief Information Officer, and yes, Chief Innovation Officer. He mentioned that the two key drivers for organizations going forward would be customer intimacy and thought leadership. And by customer intimacy, he did not mean you needed to know the birthday of the CEO's wife so you could send a birthday card. He did mean that you would actually know about your customer's business more than he actually did. And because you understood more of his business, then he would follow you, which would be your capacity to innovate, your thought leadership. So translating that into a outsourcing maturity matrix, which is not really a maturity matrix, it's just a set of 4 dimensions that we put out here to share with you. And if any of you already know this, good. And since we consider ourselves in Brazil an open source environment, please, this is also an open source session. Anyone like to say something, please raise your hand. We'll give you the microphone after we're done. So looking at this, we say that there's 4 steps. And understanding, and I got a mistypo there, confirming, enabling, and realization. Understanding is really about understanding the environment, understanding the business, being an industry expert, being capable of actually, as an expert, to advocate in behalf of that segment. And because of that, you're perceived as a strategic advisor. At the end of the day, organizations are looking to solve a problem. And they have to trust that you are the best choice to solve that problem. And for you to be perceived as that best choice, there are a set of things that it's very key for him to understand. And a lot of that has to go back and relate, do you know my business? Can you propose something that really will help me be more competitive and gain ground on my competitors? So that, going to the second one, confirming, is to be able then to take that and internally correlate it with governance and processes. The panel chair of our next panel, Vijay, was mentioning about some of the things he would like to discuss with you guys after this session, and a lot has to do with governance as being a key component for our client organizations to understand how to work with vendors. But correlate those governance and processes to problems and solutions and match in-house compatibilities. And we also mentioned about comparative leadership approach, because at the end of the day, you're going to have leadership on both sides, on the client organization and on the vendor side. And if there's no alignment there, you're going to probably have a segregation and not come out with the result that you want at the end of the day. The third dimension, enabling, which going to the leadership again, is establish the leadership tandem. Where does that leadership role, that leadership style on both sides meet and are able to provide value to that particular project or to particular problem solving? If I were to single out a silver bullet in most situations, and what I'm saying now, I was just mentioning to a friend of mine about being global, and by thinking about that, I was made in Japan and then born US, educated in France, raised in Brazil, grandparents on father's side Dutch and German, and on mother's side Swiss and Portuguese. So just by that, there's a combination of 8 there. It's wow, really cool. And I have a hard time communicating with all my cousins around the world, right? Because you're talking about different cultures, different languages. And at the end of the day, the silver bullet is how do you align communication? Because paper is beautiful. It takes anything and everything. But when you roll out the paper to the real world, you're talking about communicating about issues that were not on the paper, and now have to be realigned. And that realignment is all about understanding the same basis of the communication standards each one has. So the only way you're able to build any type of innovation roadmap is if first you got a tandem leadership, and second, they can communicate. And then translate that roadmap into deliverables and into drivers. And the last dimension is realization, is receiving the commitments. We often hear, especially in Brazil, which is a very football prone, and a lot of European folks that I see here also don't understand that. But soccer in Brazil is not a sport, it's a religion. And so we always make analogies with that. And we say, oh yeah, the guy, the employee, the collaborator has to wear the jersey, has to be a team player. Well, we take that further, and actually your collaborator, and we're talking about human resources before, he does not have to wear your jersey, he actually has to wear your skin. But for him to wear your skin, which is all discussion, he has to understand that you can provide his dream. But building power directives and sustainability. So at the end of the day, you want really to bring in that intellectual capital in a commitment format, which is a two-way street. It's only going to be sustainable if you understand that your organization will take him to his dream. And then yes, he will wear your skin. He will be ahead of the pack trying to innovate and surprise. So we say, just to wrap this up, this is just I was asked to provide a little bit of insight other than just talking about Brazil. So wrapping this up, we say to solidify the 8. So you have to educate, which is not there, validate, consolidate, reiterate, and replicate. Otherwise, you're not going to be able to create a standard procedure, standard process around the organization and the delivery process. So trying to exemplify a little bit of this approach where, you know, industry domain expertise is really key at the very beginning. That's where you need to start. I want to pass on the word to my friend Lauren O'Leary from CI&T.
Good afternoon, everybody. It's really great to be here and meet so many new people today. As he said, my name is Lauren O'Leary. I head up global marketing for CI&T here in the United States. First question everyone asks is, am I Brazilian? Obviously, O'Leary, I am not. Second question is, have I been to Brazil? Yes, very recently. It was fabulous. I recommend it. Moving on. Just want to tell everyone a little bit about CI&T here, for those of you that may not be familiar with us. We were founded in 1995, and we are a Brazilian IT services provider. I thought that was a very clear explanation, but someone asked me today, what does that mean that you're Brazilian? It means we were founded by a Brazilian group of people. We started in 95, we started serving the Brazilian community down there, and over the past couple of years have started to extend and come to North America, and of course all other parts of the country, but very recently, I'd say about 7 years ago, to North America. So our headquarters is still in Brazil, just outside São Paulo. We have a number of offices down there, as well as our North American headquarters just outside of Philadelphia. We also have offices in Japan, Europe, and China. We run our delivery centers from Brazil. We also have one in China as well, and just recently opened one in Argentina. Within a month, we went from 6 people to 50 in Argentina, and we have a 2-year plan to extend to about 1,000 there. So it's growing rapidly, and it's happening. I mean, we're watching it happen. There's just a lot of demand for the services in Latin America, but then also from Latin America as well. We have, just to kick back, we have a staff of about 1,500, right? 1,300 plus, we're right about 1,500 right now, and our annual growth is 40%. Something that I didn't believe when I joined the company, but now that I've been here for a while, is the real deal. We continue to grow at that rate, and it's incredibly exciting and a true testament to the organization. So what do we do? As I said, we provide IT services. Move on just one more. We employ agile development methodologies, and we infuse them with lean IT principles, and we always say we deliver value to our customers by eliminating waste and improving quality, speed, and agility. For those of you familiar with the lean the lean methodology, you'll recognize that certainly from the Toyota Way and many other organizations that have implemented lean as well. It's truly embedded into the CI&T culture. We look at it in how we approach our client relationships, and then also how we approach CI&T as well. You know, I'm on the marketing team, and I operate in sprints, for those of you that are IT people, something that was incredibly new to me, but that's how we do it, and it's certainly embedded in the culture. Next. So, who do we do this for? Some of our clients up here, you can see Coca-Cola, Honda, and MetLife. You can move on. We have just to give you a brief thing, we have a number of clients that are large organizations. Janssen & Janssen is a big client, Pfizer, again, with MetLife, Coca-Cola. We also have another arm of the business that really reaches out to the startup community, so we're able to marry the innovation that you might get from that community and bring it back to some of our bigger projects and bigger clients as well, so it's a really nice synergy. Our service offerings, looks like we're mixed up a little bit, but our service offerings are application development and management. We provide mobile solutions, cloud, SAP, and BI, but I will always go back and say our bread and butter is custom application development. And certainly now, everybody wants to talk about mobile, and that is something that we've had some nice business cases that I'm certainly happy to talk to you guys about if anyone has individual questions or interests in those projects. Next. So here's a couple of our logos of clients. I won't bore you with this. You can certainly check out our website to see that, and then some success cases as well. So we develop people before we develop software. I really think that this sums up CI&T. I've been with the organization for just about a year now. This is something that was said to me in my interview, which was, ironically, I think just exactly a year ago. And I said, yeah, okay, you know, I get it. You know, we're worried about who works with us. We care about that. This is so much more and truly defines CI&T. We develop people before we develop software. This is something our founder and CEO, Cesar Gon, says, and truly what the company lives by. We look at it from the perspective of building up the individual who works within CI&T to develop their skills, to develop their talents, to develop their leadership, really everything that makes a positive professional. And we look at that first, and from those people comes good software, comes good work. So we start with the person and move to the product. Next. So this is a nice segue into our value proposition. So what are you looking for? Are you looking for an average team responding to requests at a minimal cost? Or are you looking for a high-performance development team delivering value quickly and constantly? You look at that quote, we develop people before we develop software. I think it's clear we're developing these high-performance teams that in turn can benefit your business. So what makes a high-performance team? You know, there's been so much studies done on this by many people more schooled in it than just Lauren O'Leary here. But first and foremost, talent, skills mastery, and those two things come together. You find the best talent and you retain them, and then develop them and help build their skills. So what do you do with that? You let them be autonomous. You let them figure out what to do. You let them figure out the best solution for the product and do it on their own. Again, a lean frame of mind. This comes back to our corporate culture of lean principles. This is great for problem solving, continuous improvement, and then a shared purpose. Everyone at the company really has the same goals, moves forward at the same pace, and shares in the successes of ourselves and then also of our customers as well. So with that, I will just show you one last picture here. This is, unfortunately, Leonardo Mattiazzi, who runs our practice here in the US, could not be here. But this is his favorite slide, so I told him I would show it to everyone. This is CI&T. These are not models. This is the team. These are people that work with the company. These are some of the developers, members of the marketing team. I am not on there. I knew someone would ask that maybe in the next round. But so when you engage with CI&T, this is who you engage with, the actual people, not just the product. Okay.
Brian?
Connect with me. I can get you my card later.
I don't even think we need the microphone. Excellent. So you go from O'Leary to Moynihan. I don't know what that means. We already had the conversation, but anyway. Lauren, that's great. So where we're a little different, and maybe I'll take a little different angle on it, is that Lauren's company, based in Brazil, 1,300, up to 1,500 now. eCore, we're at about 150. I started with the company 2 years ago, and I met Robert not long after that. So we got along pretty well because I'm a mutt too, except I don't make it over to Asia. I'm basically Europe and here in the US. But anyway, I was hired 2 years ago to help eCore drive business here in the US. To Lauren's point earlier, if you know about Brazil, you know it's a very robust economy, right? So our company eCore was based back in 1999. Something got mudded up there, but that's okay. Back in 1999, but actually as a training company. And as we began to grow down in Brazil, out of Porto Alegre, which is actually down south here. So you've got São Paulo and Rio de Janeiro here. We would be down in Porto Alegre. It's more in Brazil. It's more equivalent to a Tampa here in the U.S. As we began to grow back in 2 years ago, they said, hey, we have some very good clients in Brazil that actually also have operations up in the States. So back to Robert's original point, which was about domain expertise. When I started, I said, all right, let's look at some of our largest clients are in agriculture. We've got some financial services companies. Let's see if we can't leverage that up in the U.S. As it turns out, as you're starting, you're looking to do your campaign strategy as a sales guy, business development. And we were already doing business with Bunge, which is the largest company that no one's ever heard of. $52 billion agriculture firm. You come up there, Bunge? What is it? But down in Brazil, everybody's heard of Bunge and Alimentos and everything. So I come up here, and because I'm in New York, essentially what we ended up doing was it was going to be about financial services. So maybe we can click it here. Boy, these slides got really, we put them together. I think we had a baby on these slides. So anyway, so essentially as I come up here, if you're based in New York, essentially you need to be able to talk to financial services. So as opposed to, you know, having the domain experience and then pitching it up here in the States, we actually had to grow it. So what we found is that, you know, what did people want to hear like yourselves, you know, with regard to what Brazil can bring to market? That was the beginning of a conversation around Agile, which Lauren mentioned. So people like the near shore, the location. If we're back to the map, right now the worst is the worst for Brazil, which is it's a 3-hour time difference. Now you can say that's the worst or that's the best, depending on how you look at it, right? So you have a little larger window. Also, as I began to onboard with eCore, what you found is that when I originally started, I thought it would be competing with Asia as an outsourcing destination. That's not true. As it turns out, as it's matured, the outsourcing models have matured, we found at eCore, we were talking to clients, and Brazil nearshore was being slotted in as merely you know, part of the global engagement model. So we weren't competing with Asia, we weren't competing with the UK or anything over there. We were simply just fitting into the global delivery model. And we found that people like that. We also, to be honest with you, we weren't going to compete with Asia on price. So where's the value proposition to financial services companies and other folks that you're talking to here? To some extent, you're going to be talking about a boutique type firm like ourselves, where you can speak to product development that could be siloed or be part of product development, which is global. We can do the development because we're in Brazil. We're in pretty much the same time zone as people up here in the East Coast. And then as you follow the sun, the QA can be done in Asia, etc. So just being realistic here in terms of where Brazil, in terms of eCore, and nearshore fits into buying patterns of the clients that we're seeing, that's where we fit in. Additionally, keep that slide up. Additionally, what we found is that, you know, most of our teams would be anywhere from 3 to 10 people, being realistic. Hey, being a business development guy, right? You want to close that 50 to 500 person deal. The economies of scale just aren't always going to be there, right? Now, on some deals it will be there, but again, it depends, okay? But just trying to be realistic in terms of what, as a boutique firm, where our sweet spot is. One of our largest clients is a company called Atlassian. Who here has heard of Atlassian? Atlassian software makes Jira, Confluence, Greenhopper, all these software products that if you develop software, you test software, you're an agile shop, most likely. If you haven't heard of Atlassian, your developers have. We actually, because of our location being near shore and part of the global delivery model for Atlassian, fit into a support services model for them. So with regard to what our offerings are, we're application development, QA, and support services. For Atlassian specifically, because they have products that need to be supported with their end customers, back to what Robert said, the domain experience in that particular case ends up being software specific. But the beauty of the Brazilian culture is that they're perfect for a support model like this, because they're good in terms of finding answers, communication, and we actually have a team of close to 30 people for that. Lauren's point, it's all about holding on to people. Back one slide. It's all about holding on to people, right? So we've been voted for the last 4 years running one of the top 50 IT companies to work for in Brazil. It's all about retention, being committed to your workforce. Same thing, we all know about it. Once you invest, go, bing. Here's some of our clients, several of which we've opened up while I've been here. Royal Bank of Scotland, BNP Paribas, moving down, all terminology that you know. Okay, you have to make sure you've got security and process. Bing. Boy, this should have been way up front, but anyway, application, got into that. And down here we say Atlassian partner as well, with some engineers, etc. Bing. Am I down to 1 minute? You'll notice many, to Lauren's point, because it's a robust economy down in South America, many are also down in South America, US and Europe. And then Robert, last slide, a few more, which are some of the ones more current, okay, which moves into some of the US-based clients here, okay? How many of these do you know, Robert? Do you know all of those?
A few. 8 at least.
Thank you. Lauren and I will be here. Sorry it was quick, but hopefully that was helpful.
Very good. Thank you, Brian.
Thank you.
Let me wrap this up before I give it back to Don and to try to synthesize this through a story that some of you might have heard before, but just to illustrate the whole wearing the skin approach. Who likes pizza? No one? In New York, no one likes pizza? Come on, where's the raise of hands? Well, if you like pizza the way we do, like a very thin and crusty, if you go to San Francisco, when you're ever there, stop there at North Beach Pizza, at the North Beach District. I'm on a shuttle between Reno and San Francisco every year for 45 days. So every time I go to San Francisco, I make a point stopping there at John's little shop called North Beach Pizza on 3rd Avenue in San Mateo. He has one in San Mateo and one in North Beach. And the last day I was there, he had a smile pinned to his ear. I said, "What's going on, John? Why are you so smiley?" He said, "You know, Robert, I beat those guys to the punch today." I said, "What do you mean? Who did you beat?" "Domino's Pizza and Pizza's Hut." I said, what did you do to those guys?" "You know, I beat them in a more amount of pieces delivered to the entire Bay Area in one single day." I said, "Come on, John, get out of here. Those guys are a franchise scattered all over the Bay Area. How could you possibly do that? You're just a one single door shop." He says, "You know, Robert, I got a very tight delivery team. I got 40 motorcyclists here." 40 motorcyclists? Where do you find these guys? I said, "Robert, I only have one criteria to hire them." And he said, "Yeah, what is?" "Be Brazilian." I said, "What a minute. What's so special about it?" He says, "You know, Robert, they bring 3 critical success factors to my business. 1, business expertise. If they can drive those motorcycles like they do down in Sao Paulo, they can drive them anywhere else in the world. They can even beat the rich guys from Mumbai. 2, reliability. Those guys are not committed to a 9-to-5 job or to a job description. They're committed to getting things done, whatever it takes. And 3, flexibility and resourcefulness. It doesn't matter what type of unforeseen event happens in the front line. They take care of it right then and there. They don't bring back to me a problem. They just tell me what solution they gave. So we'd like to transfer those 3 critical success factors into our world, where we need, first and foremost, business expertise. We definitely have to have reliability, commitment, wear the skin. And 3, you got to be resourceful and creative, because you're facing constantly change. As a matter of fact, before the internet, we're only sure of 2 things in our lives. We'll always pay taxes, and we're going to die one day. After the internet, now we're sure of 4. We're going to pay taxes, we're going to die one day, and we'll never do anything by ourselves anymore. We live in a collaborative world, and we manage change daily. It's not monthly or yearly. So we just want to wrap this up, pass it over to Don. We got another panel coming up. Thank you very much.